3 years for Breonna Taylor's death. That's it. Well, let's break it down, because the officer just got sentenced to 3 years for his role that landed him in federal prison for the death of Breonna Taylor. Now, I get it. I know, to the public, that's a slap on the wrist. That's a slap in our face. I get it. I understand it. I feel you. That's it. That's all for this innocent woman. It tore the community apart. She lost her life. The justice system dragged its feet for years. But is there something deeper that we need to look at? Because this isn't as small as it look on surface. It's deeper than that. You see, this officer, Brett, was convicted for his actions the night of Breonna Taylor's death. Not for killing her directly. Because if you remember, none of the officers actually got charged for her death, knowing that they violated every policy. But he was convicted for a civil rights violation stemming from how he fired blindly into the apartment. Not for her death. Department of Justice had the fucking nerves to recommend 1 day. They didn't want him to serve any time if they could have had it, but they did a courtesy of 1 day. But the judge said, The judge used his discretion, his common sense, the sentencing guidelines, and sentenced him to 3 years in prison. That matters. That matters because the DOJ did not care about this family. They didn't even come in and introduce themselves to them. That's why it's a slap on the wrist for their 1 day recommendation. Because y'all got to understand what that means in the system. He is a convicted felon, yes. He would never be able to work in law enforcement again, yes. He loses his pension, yes. He can no longer carry a firearm, yes. His career, credibility, and freedom are gone. But he's white in America. He gets another chance. Let's talk about the system that tried to protect him. When this happened, one of our very own that looked like us refused. Mr. Daniel Cameron refused to bring charges. He didn't want it. He didn't even present a homicide charge to the grand jury. You know, he's good friends with Turkey Neck, McConnell. The public had to fight. The family had to scream for justice, crawl, claw, cry, bleed for justice. They had to burn out their voices until someone looked into it. This 3-year sentence comes after years of obstruction, lies, cover-ups, the small cracks in the concrete wall that were never supposed to budge. That's why I tell people to always lower your expectation when we're talking about the criminal justice system. And I understand a win is a win. I tell y'all every time when it comes to justice, because the system wasn't built for us, but understand justice shows up in pieces. Sometimes it ain't life sentence. Sometimes it's not a felony conviction on a crooked officer's record. Sometimes it's the fact that the judge rejected the government's call for mercy and chose accountability. So no, this is not a win. The win that we wanted. The win that Breonna Taylor's life and family deserved, but it's still a victory.